May I speak to you in the name of God, who is Father, Son, and Holy Spirit. Amen. Easter began for us last night at sundown, and we celebrated our first service of Easter with the Easter Vigil. We ended with the same hymn that we're going to end our service today with, Jesus Christ is risen. Is it today? It says today, right? Yeah. Jesus Christ is risen today. I get it when I have it in front of me, but it's hard to recall, people. That song's been stuck in my head all night since then, which normally would get on my nerves at about 3 a.m., but for the past couple of weeks, Where You Are by Moana has been stuck in my head. Because Hazel is learning how to ask Alexa to play Moana. So it was a nice reprieve from that. But it was just going over and over and over again. And as can be seen by our swelling numbers here, our sunrise service didn't happen this morning because last night there was about an 80% chance of rain at 6:30. There was 0% rain at 6:30. But I was up most of the night thinking that that scenario would happen. So in between, in the breaks from those, why did I cancel this service, it's probably not even going to rain. Jesus Christ is risen today. Hallelujah. And it got me thinking about what I normally preach on Thanksgiving, or the eve of Thanksgiving. I really like Thanksgiving. I like turkey. I like all the food associated. I like time with family and all that. I don't like so much the idea of creating holidays around an idea or practice. Because I think there's a danger then of regulating that practice or that idea just to that day. And I think we should be thankful all the time, not just one Thursday in November or maybe all of November or whatever it is, but we should make a concerted effort to be thankful all the time. So that's my Thanksgiving sermon. Still come back on the eve of Thanksgiving. I'll have a heads up. And I got thinking about that with this hymn we'll close our day with, which is a great hymn and has a great message. But it's focused on what happened on that day and how great what happened on that day is on this day. And it doesn't really leave that day. We should sing these songs. We should do these things on this day. On this day. And we can't do that with the joy of the resurrection, with the new life that we have in Jesus Christ because of this day. And that hymn is great. I love it. It's been a good one to have going over my head. But it's not just about one day, and we can't let it be just about one day. We are people of the resurrection. The new life opened up to us in Jesus Christ has to be part of our life every single day. In the first half of our service last night, we heard an account of God's saving deeds throughout history. There's a lot of readings in the dark. Quite literally in the dark. If you look at the video from last night, you can see about this much of a candle. Our first reading was The Binding of Isaac. If you don't know that title, it's the story where God tells Abraham to take Isaac and sacrifice him. It seems like a little bit of an odd choice for an account of God's saving deeds throughout history. God commanding Abraham, after waiting so long for a child, to sacrifice that child. Surprise ending. Ram shows up in the thicket. God doesn't have Abraham sacrifice his child. And there's some really great implications from that. It seems a lot more twisted than it is. Still kind of twisted, but it's better than it seems. But at the end of that reading last night, we read that the angel appeared again to Abraham. And the angel said to him that God will fulfill his part of the covenant. that Abraham's descendants will be more numerous than the stars in the sky, than the sand on the shore. But it goes on. It's not just what's going to happen to Abraham, but Abraham and his descendants have a role to play. The angel goes on to say that through his descendants, the nations of the world will gain their blessing. That story, that covenant with Abraham, sets the tone for God's work throughout history, God's saving deeds throughout history. God acts in and amongst us and works on us. God completes these saving deeds throughout history, not just for those of us who gather in buildings like this so we can sit comfortably, or somewhat comfortably in these pews. God comes to us. God saves us. God breaks the bonds of death itself for us so that we can go forward and all the nations of the earth can gain their blessing through us. Jesus Christ is risen today so that today, tomorrow, and the next day, we can go forward. The joy and power of the resurrection as people of the resurrection into the world and bless that world that knows all too well the darkness and pain and sin that infects it. I'm always struck with these resurrection gospels where the angel or the young boy in white or whoever it is tells the women who come to the tomb to go. He's not here, he's risen, but go. That's what we're to do. That's what God's saving deeds throughout history is all about. Empowering us to go. This past week, I was thinking about Lenten disciplines. I've been a number of weeks taking on Lenten disciplines. I gave up ice cream. And in a cruel twist of fate, my favorite Ben & Jerry's flavor of ice cream, which had been discontinued for over a decade, was released in a limited batch during Lent. So, of course, our freezer has been stocked full. And I have been thoroughly tempted, but resisted, except for on Sundays, because it's a feast day. There are even some Sundays I didn't want home to have ice cream, but I did because it's a feast day and we have to celebrate. But this week I was thinking about these Lenten disciplines, and I thought, how wonderful would it be if we continued something like that into Easter? Not necessarily a discipline, but how wonderful would it be if looking to Jesus, looking to the power and joy of the resurrection, we decided throughout the season of Easter, because it's not just today, we got 49 more days of Easter after this. Those days, we all commit to doing something to bring life out into the world where it may not have been before. Because that's who we are as people of the resurrection. We are people who believe that death does not have the final say. And no matter how broken and dark it might seem, God brings life. We heard last night about the valley of dry bones in Ezekiel, and how God breathed life into those bones, and they were brought together and fleshed. And God breathed into them, and they had life again. That is who we are as followers of Jesus Christ. And I wonder how beautiful would it be if we commit ourselves, whatever it is, to go and do things that bring life back into the world. How wonderful, how beautiful, how glorious would that be? Amen.